Old wisdom is back to tell you more about Yemi and Bala. You remember how part 1 ended with the rain and the blessing? Well, that was just the beginning. The real story, the trials, the true test of their love, and the village. That all started after the wedding. And let me tell you, things got strange. Very strange. The rains came, just like Yemi promised. Our land turned green again. The harvests were bountiful, and our village prospered. We had never seen such abundance. Our storage huts overflowed with yams and grains. Our animals grew fat, and even the fish in the stream seemed bigger and tastier. It was truly a golden time, and we all knew it was because of Yemi, our giantess bride, our Earth Mother's daughter. Remember, respect for Yemi grew, yes. The villagers no longer mocked or whispered unkindly. They brought her gifts, the best of their harvest, the finest clothes, seeking her blessings, her favor. Even Dashola and Lolade, Yemi's sisters, changed their tune. They were no longer cruel, no longer jealous. They were funny, always around Yemi, offering to help, their voices sweet as honey, but their eyes still held a flicker of something cold, something calculating. But prosperity, it can bring out the best in people, but also the worst. And our village's newfound wealth, it attracted unwanted attention. Whispers started again, but these whispers were different. These were whispers of greed, whispers from outside our village, carried on the wind from far away lands. Travelers started to arrive, strangers with strange clothes and even stranger eyes. They came asking about our village, about our good fortune, about the source of our blessings. At first we welcomed them, as is our custom. We offered them food and water, shelter for the night. But their questions, they were too curious, too probing. They weren't interested in our yams or our goats. They were interested in Yemi. We have heard tales. One traveler, a man with a shifty gaze and too many teeth, said to Bala one day, tales of a large woman, a woman connected to the earth. Is it true? Bala, ever cautious, ever wise, simply nodded slowly. Yemi is my wife, he said, his voice calm but firm. She's respected in our village. The traveler chuckled, a dry, unpleasant sound. Respected or powerful? We hear she can make the land fertile, bring green, bring wealth. Such power is valuable, very valuable. He looked at Bala with a glint in his eye that made my skin crawl. Perhaps we could offer something in return for her assistance, for her gifts. Bala's eyes narrowed. Yemi's gifts are for our village, he said, his voice hardening. They are not for sale, and Yemi is not for you to assist. The traveler smiled, a thin, cold smile. We shall see, he said, and then he left, riding away on his strange tall animal, leaving behind a chill in the air, a sense of unease that settled over our village like a dark cloud. And that was when the trials truly began, when the whispers of greed turned into something more dangerous. Something that threatened not just Yemi and Bala, but our entire village. And the unsettling feeling, it returned. Stronger now, sharper, laced with a new kind of fear. Fear of what outsiders, driven by greed, might try to do to Yemi, to our blessing, to our way of life. The travelers kept coming, not just single men or strange animals, but groups now. Larger, bolder. They were merchants, they said, traders, come to admire our village's prosperity, to offer us opportunities. But their eyes, they always strayed to Yemi. Their questions always circled back to her power, to the earth's blessing. One merchant, a man with a smooth tongue and eyes like a serpent, was particularly persistent. He called himself Ade and spoke of great cities far away, of kings and queens, of unimaginable riches. He flattered Yemi, calling her Earth's mother, goddess of abundance, his voice dripping with false respect. Great Yemi, he would say, bowing low before her, his silk robes rustling in the dust. Your fame has spread far and wide. Kings and queens desire to meet you, to seek your wisdom. They will shower you with gifts, which is beyond your wildest dreams. Why stay in this small village when you could rule empires? Yemi listened patiently, her face calm, her eyes steady. She was polite, as is our way, but she was also wary. She saw through Ade's smooth words, sensed the serpent's tongue beneath the honeyed phrases. She knew his true intentions were not admiration, but exploitation. Bala was even more suspicious of Ade. He watched him closely, his hunter's instincts on high alert. He saw the way Ade's eyes lingered on Yemi, not with respect, but with calculation. He heard the whispers Ade spread among the villagers, promising them wealth and power if they would only share Yemi's blessing with the outside world. Dashola and Lolade, they were completely taken in by Ade's charm and promises. They fluttered around him like moths to a flame, their eyes wide with greed, their voices eager and sycophantic. Great merchant Ade, Dashola would simper. Yemi is indeed powerful. We are her sisters, we know her secrets. Perhaps we could help you understand her better. Lolade would nod eagerly. Yes, we can speak to Yemi. Convince her to share our gifts for the good of the village, of course, and for a small reward. Perhaps for our efforts. Their greed was like a festering wound, poisoning their hearts, blinding them to the true danger. Yemi warned them, gently but firmly. Sisters, she said, her voice deep and resonant. Be careful of this man. His words are sweet, but his heart is dark. He does not seek blessing. He seeks to control it, to take it for himself. But Dashola and Lolade wouldn't listen. They were too blinded by the glitter of gold, too deafened by the promises of riches. They continued to court Ade, to whisper to him, to plot and scheme, their jealousy and greed twisting them into something ugly. Ade's presence in our village was like a slow poison, seeping into the community, dividing us, tempting us with false promises, turning our blessings into a source of danger. And the unsettling feeling, it intensified, morphing into a cold dread of what Ade and his serpent tongue might convince the villagers to do. Dread of what he might try to do to Yemi, to our precious blessing, and the trials. They were just beginning to truly test our village. Ade's smooth words and glittering promises started to work their magic on some of the villagers, especially the younger ones, those who hadn't lived through the lean years before Yemi's blessing, those who were easily swayed by the lure of wealth and excitement. They started to listen to Ade's whispers, to dream of riches and power, to question Bala and Yemi's wisdom. Why should we keep this blessing to ourselves? did murmur. Why should we live in this small village where we could be rich and famous? Ade says kings and queens will pay fortunes for Yemi's gifts. We could build new huts, buy fine clothes, live like royalty. Some of the older villagers, those who had initially mocked Yemi, were also swayed by greed. They saw the abundance around them, the overflowing harvests, the healthy animals, and they started to think, maybe Yemi's blessing was too much for just our small village. Maybe we should share it, sell it, profit from it. Forget the respect, forget the sacredness, just profits. The village became divided. On one side were Bala and Yemi, supported by Mama Efe and a few of the older, wiser villagers. Those who understood the true value of Yemi's blessing, who knew it wasn't something to be bought or sold, but something to be cherished and protected. They urged caution, patience, respect for the earth's gifts. On the other side were Ade, Dashola, Lolade, and the younger, greedier villagers, those who were seduced by the promise of wealth and power, those who saw Yemi not as a blessing, but as a commodity. They pushed for action, for sharing Yemi's gift, for selling her power to the highest bidder. Village meetings became tense, filled with argument and accusation. Voices were raised, tempers flared, old friendships were strained. The unity that had once defined our village, the spirit of community that had always bound us together, started to fray, to unravel like an old worn cloth. Dashola and Lolade, they became Ade's most vocal supporters, his most eager allies. They spoke at every meeting, their voices shrill and insistent, their eyes gleaming with avarice. Yemi is too selfish, Dashola would cry. She's holding the blessing. She should share it with the world. It is her duty. Lolade would nod vehemently. Yes, Amtala is a fool. He's holding her back. He's preventing us from becoming rich. We must convince Yemi to listen to reason, to listen to Ade. Their words were like stones, thrown into the already troubled waters of our village, creating ripples of discord and resentment. Yemi and Bala watched sadly as their village, their community started to tear itself apart, divided by greed, blinded by false promises. They knew they had to do something to find a way to unite the village, to remind them of the true meaning of Yemi's blessing, before it was too late, before Ade's serpent tongue poisoned us all, and the unsettling feeling, it became almost unbearable, a heavy weight pressing down on our hearts, threatening to crush the spirit of village. Bala and Yemi knew they had to act, but they were unsure what to do. They couldn't force the villagers to change their minds, to see the truth. They could only show them the true nature of Yemi's blessing, the true danger of Ade's greed, the true strength of their love in their connection to the earth. Yemi decided to withdraw her blessing, to show the villagers what life would be like without it. It was a risky move, a painful sacrifice, but she knew it was necessary. She needed to show them out of their greed, to remind them of what truly mattered. She went to Bala, her face heavy with sadness. "Bala," she said, her voice low, "I must withdraw. I must take back the blessing for a time, to show them, to make them understand." Bala's heart ached for her, for the pain he knew this would cause her, and for the hardship it would bring upon their village, even those who were blinded by greed. But he trusted Yemi's wisdom, her connection to the earth. He knew she wouldn't do this lightly. He nodded slowly, his eyes filled with love and support. "I understand, Yemi," he said. Do what you must. I will be here by your side always. Yemi closed her eyes and took a deep breath, drawing in the earth's energy, then slowly releasing it. It was like watching the sun dimming, the light fading, the warmth receding. The vibrant green of the land started to dull. The overflowing crops began to wither. The animals grew restless. The stream started to shrink again. The abundance that had defined our village for the past year began to disappear. The villagers noticed the change almost immediately. The joy faded from their faces, replaced by confusion, then worry, then fear. The crops that had been so promising started to droop. The yams began to shrink. The animals grew thin and listless. The stream, which had flowed so strongly, became a shallow trickle once more. Ade, Dashola and Lolade, they were furious. They blamed Yemi, accused her, and betraying them of punishing the village. For what? For wanting to share her blessing. Their greed had blinded them so completely they couldn't see the truth, couldn't understand the lesson Yemi was trying to teach them. Yemi is a witch, Dashola shrieked, her voice filled with rage. She is doing this to punish us because we dared to question her. We must stop her. We must control her. Lolade nodded, her eyes gleaming with a dangerous light. Yes, Ade has told us ways, rituals to control such power. We must do it for the good of the village. Their greed had turned into something darker now, something sinister. They were willing to do anything, even harm Yemi, to get what they wanted. Bala and Yemi watched sadly as their village descended into fear and chaos, divided, blinded, on the verge of destroying itself. They knew they had to do more than just withdraw the blessing. They had to show them, truly show them, the path back to unity, back to respect, back to the true blessing that lay not in wealth or power, but in faith. And the unsettling feeling, it became a heavy certainty. A certainty that our village was facing its greatest trial yet. A trial that would test not just our faith in Yemi, but our faith in ourselves, in each other, in the very heart of our community. As fear and chaos gripped our village, Bala and Yemi retreated to their hut, seeking guidance, seeking strength, seeking a way to save their community from itself. Yemi, though weakened by withdrawing her blessing, still possessed a deep connection to the earth, a wisdom that went beyond human understanding. She closed her eyes and listened to the whispers of the wind, the murmurs of the stream, the silent language of the land, and the air spoke to her. It revealed the plots that Ade, Dashola, and Lolade were hatching, a plot far more sinister than mere greed. Ade wasn't just a merchant seeking wealth, he was a sorcerer, a dark magic user who sought to steal Yemi's power, to control the earth's blessing for his own selfish gain. Dashola and Lolade, blinded by their greed and jealousy, had become his willing pawn. They had revealed Yemi's secret to Ade, told him about her connection to the earth, about the rituals and chants that strengthened her power. They had even agreed to help him capture her, to bind her, to steal her blessing, to leave her powerless, all for the promise of riches and power. Yemi opened her eyes, her face grey, her voice filled with a cold anger I have never heard before. Bala, she said, they plot against us. Ade is not who he seems. He is a sorcerer, and my sisters, they are helping him. They plan to capture me, to steal my power. Bala's eyes flashed with fury. He had suspected Ade was dangerous, but he hadn't imagined the depth of his treachery, the extent of his sister-in-law's betrayal. Capture you? He growled. They will not touch you, Yemi. I will not let them. Yemi placed a hand on his arm, her touch calming his anger, but not diminishing his resolve. No, Bala, violence is not the answer. We must outsmart them, not overpower them. We must show the villagers the truth, expose Ade's wickedness, and awaken their hearts before it is too late. They devised a plan that relied not on force, but on wisdom, on cunning, on the very earth's power that Ade sought to control. They would use Ade's own greed against him, expose his true nature to the villagers, and turn Dashola and Lolade's betrayal into their own downfall. Bala went to Mama Ife and a few of the other wise elders, those who still trusted Yemi, those who still held onto the true values of our village. He told them of Ade's plot, of Dashola and Lolade's treachery, of the danger facing not just Yemi but the entire community. At first, they were shocked, disbelieving, but as Bala spoke, his voice earnest, his eyes filled with truth, they started to understand. They had seen Ade's serpent tongue in action. They had witnessed Dashola and Lolade's greed. They had felt the growing darkness in our village. They knew Bala spoke the truth. Mama Ife, her eyes blazing with righteous anger, stood up, her walking stick thumping on the ground. "Enough," she declared, her voice ringing with authority. "We have been fools, blinded by greed, deafened by lies. We must act. We must protect Yemi. We must save our village from this darkness." And the unsettling feeling is shifted again, replaced by a surge of determination to fight for our village, to protect Yemi, to expose the truth, and to reclaim our community from the clutches of greed and deceit. With Mama Ife and the wise elders on their side, Bala and Yemi began to set their trap for Ade and his treacherous allies. They knew they had to be careful, cunning and patient. Ade was a sorcerer after all, with dark magic at his command, and Dashola and Lolade, though foolish and greedy, knew Yemi's habits, her routines, her weaknesses. The first step was to spread rumors, carefully crafted rumors designed to play on Ade's greed and Dashola and Lolade's vanity. Mama Ife, with her network of gossiping women, was perfect for this task. She whispered in the market, in the stream, in the cooking fires, tales of Yemi's immense power, of the incredible riches she could bestow, of the special ritual needed to unlock her full potential. The rumors reached Ade's ears quickly, just as Bala and Yemi had planned. Ade's eyes gleamed with avarice, his serpent's tongue working overtime, trying to extract more information to confirm the whispers, to learn the details of this special ritual. Dashola and Lolade, puffed up with pride at being in the know, eagerly fed him false information, embellishing the rumors, adding details designed to lure him into the trap. They told Ade that the ritual had to be performed under the full moon at the ancient shrine in the woods, the very woods near Yemi's hut. They said it required special herbs, rare stones, and a willing sacrifice. They hinted that Yemi, in her weakened state, was vulnerable, that this was the perfect time to guide her into performing the ritual, to help her unlock her full power for the benefit of everyone, of course. Ade, blinded by his greed and arrogance, fell for the trap completely. He believed he was outsmarting Yemi, manipulating Dashola and Lolade, controlling the situation. He didn't realize that he was the one being manipulated, that he was walking right into a carefully laid snare. Under the guise of helping Yemi perform this ritual, Ade planned to capture her at the shrine, to bind her with dark magic, to steal her power for himself. Dashola and Lolade, in their foolish greed, agreed to help him, believing they would be rewarded handsomely for their betrayal. Bala and Yemi, with the help of Mama Ife and the wise elders, prepared their counter trap. They gathered the villagers who still trusted them, Those who were willing to stand against Ade and his darkness, they armed themselves with weapons, but with knowledge. Knowledge of the ancient shrine, knowledge of the earth's power, and knowledge of Ade's dark magic, gleaned from old stories and forgotten lore. They planned to meet Ade at the shrine, not as victims, but as protectors, to expose his treachery, to break his power, to reclaim their village from his greedy clutches. And the unsettling feeling, it transformed again, replaced by a tense anticipation of the coming confrontation, anticipation of the final showdown, anticipation of the moment when the truth would be revealed and the fate of our village would be decided. Under the pale light of the full moon, the showdown began at the ancient shrine in the woods. The shrine was a clearing in the heart of the woods, a place of ancient power, marked by a cycle of standing stones, their surfaces once smoothed by time and weather. The air was thick with an eerie stillness, broken only by the rustling of leaves and the distant hooting of an owl. Ade arrived first, accompanied by Dashola and Lolade, their faces pale but determined, their eyes gleaming with a mixture of fear and greed. Ade wore dark robes, his serpent's eyes glistening in the moonlight, a pouch of dark powders hanging from his belt. He looked around the shrine, his gaze calculating, his fingers twitching with anticipation. Yemi and Bala arrived moments later, accompanied by Mama Efe and the wise elders, their faces resolute, their hearts filled with a quiet strength. Yemi, though still weakened, stood tall, her eyes radiating a calm power that seemed to push back the darkness of the woods. Bala stood beside her, his spear in hand, his gaze fixed on Ade, his body tense, ready to protect his wife. "Welcome, Yemi," Ada said, his voice smooth but laced with a sinister edge. "I see you have come to perform the ritual. Excellent. We shall assist you." He gestured to Tashola and Lolade, who stepped forward with their faces tight with nervousness. Yemi looked at Ade, her eyes steady, unwavering. "You speak of rituals, sorcerer," she said, her voice deep and resonant, echoing through the clearing. "But you seek not to assist, but to steal. You seek to control the earth's blessing for your own selfish gain." Ade chuckled, a dry, meatless sound. "Foolish woman," he sneered. "You think you can defy me? I have power beyond your comprehension. The power to bend the earth to my will, to control its very life force. And soon, that power will be mine." He reached into his pouch, his fingers closing around a handful of dark powder. But before he could unleash his magic, Mama Efe stepped forward, her walking stick raised high. "Enough, sorcerer!" she cried, her voice ringing with righteous fury. "Your treachery is exposed. Your lies are revealed. We know your wicked plot, and we will not let you harm Yemi or our village." At Mama Efe's words, the villagers who had followed Bala and Yemi stepped out from the shadows surrounding Ade, Dashola and Lolade. Their faces green, their eyes filled with anger and determination. Ade was trapped. His plot was unveiled, and the unsettling feeling, it finally began to dissipate, replaced by a rising tide of hope. Hope that we could overcome this darkness. Hope that we could reclaim our village. Hope that we could protect Yemi and our precious blessing from the clutches of greed and evil. The showdown at the shrine was just beginning, and the fate of our village hung in the balance. As the villagers surrounded Ade and his treacherous allies, Ade's smooth facade crumbled, his serpent's eyes widened with fury, his face contorted with rage. He knew his plot was exposed. his carefully laid plans unraveling before his very eyes. "Fools!" he roared, his voice echoing through the clearing. "You dare to defy me? You dare to stand against my power? You will regret this. You will all suffer." He flung the dark powder into the air, chanting words in a strange, guttural tongue. Words that seemed to vibrate with dark magic. Words that chilled the very air around us. The powder exploded in a cloud of black smoke, swirling and twisting, taking on monstrous shapes, shadowy figures with clawed hands and glowing red eyes. The villagers gasped. Fear flickered in their eyes, some stumbling back in terror. Ade's magic was real, powerful, terrifying. Dashola and Lolade, seeing Ade unleash his power, their greed turning into panic, tried to flee, to escape the consequences of their betrayal, but it was too late. The shadowy figures swirled around them, their clawed hands reaching out, their red eyes burning into their souls. Dashola and Lolade screamed, their voices filled with terror and regret, as the dark magic enveloped them, dragging them down into the shadows. Yemi watched calmly, her eyes fixed on Ade, her face serene, her power gathering within her. She was not afraid of Ade's dark magic. She was connected to a power far older, far stronger, far more primal, the power of the earth itself. When Ade turned his attention to Yemi, his eyes burning with malevolent intent, she raised her hands, her palms facing him, her fingers spread wide, and the earth responded. The ground beneath Ade's feet began to tremble. The standing stones around the shrine started to grow with an inner light. The very air crackled with energy. A wave of pure, raw earth power surged outwards from Yemi, a wave of green energy that washed over the clearing, pushing back the darkness, dispelling the shadows, overwhelming Ade's dark magic. The shadowy figure shrieked and dissolved, the black smoke dissipated, and Ade himself staggered back, his face pale, his eyes wide with disbelief and terror. Earth's fury was unleashed. Yemi, the Earth Mother's daughter, was defending her blessing, protecting her village, and pushing those who dared to threaten them. And the unsettling feeling, it vanished completely, replaced by a surge of awe at Yemi's power, awe at the Earth's response, awe at the sheer force of nature unleashed against darkness and greed. The showdown at the shrine had reached its climax, and the tide had turned decisively in our favor. Ade, overwhelmed by Yemi's earth power, collapsed to his knees, his dark magic shattered, his strength completely drained. The villagers closed in on him, their faces grim, their anger palpable. They had witnessed his treachery, his wickedness, his attempt to steal their blessing, and they were ready to deliver justice. But Yemi stepped forward, her hand raised, silencing the villagers. She looked down at Ade, her eyes not filled with anger, but with pity. "Sorcerer," she said, her voice calm but firm. "You sought to control what cannot be controlled. You sought to steal what is freely given. You were blinded by greed, consumed by darkness. Your magic is broken. Your power is gone. Leave our village and never return. Learn from your mistakes, and perhaps one day you may find redemption." Ade, defeated and humiliated, could only nod weakly. He stumbled to his feet, his robes dragging in the dust, his serpent's eyes dull and lifeless. He turned and fled into the whispering woods, disappearing into the shadows, banished from our village forever. Dashola and Lolade, they were gone, consumed by the dark magic they had helped to unleash. Their greed and betrayal had led to their own destruction. The villagers watched in silence as the shadowy figures faded away, leaving no trace of Yemi's sisters, only a chilling reminder of the consequences of greed and deceit. Yemi turned to the villagers, her eyes sweeping over their faces, her gaze filled with understanding and forgiveness. "Villagers," she said, her voice gentle but resonant, "you were tempted by greed, you were swayed by lies, you were divided by fear, but you have also shown courage, resilience, and a willingness to face the darkness. You've learned a valuable lesson. Remember this day. Remember the dangers of greed, the importance of unity, the power of respect for the earth and for each other." She then turned her attention to the land, extending her hands towards the parched earth, towards the withered crops, towards the dwindling stream, and the earth responded again, this time with a great life-giving energy. The land began to heal, the crops started to revive, the stream flowed stronger, the air filled with a sense of renewal and hope. Slowly, gradually, life returned to our village, not just abundance, but also unity. The villagers, shaken by their near disaster, humbled by Yemi's power and forgiveness, united, their bonds strengthened by the trials they had faced together. They had learned their lessons, a harsh but necessary lesson about the true meaning of Yemi's blessing, about the importance of community, about the dangers of greed, and the enduring power of love and respect. And the unsettling feeling, it was completely gone, replaced by a profound sense of gratitude. Gratitude for Yemi, for Bala, for Mama Ife, for the wise elders, for the earth itself, and for the hard-won unity of our village. Life in our village returned to a new kind of normal, a normal enriched by the lessons we had learned, deepened by the trials we had overcome, blessed by Yemi's continued presence and power. The land thrived, our community prospered, and our hearts were filled with newfound wisdom and gratitude. Yemi and Bala continued to live among us, not as rulers or goddesses, but as guides. Yemi, with her deep connection to the earth, advised us on farming, on planting, on respecting the seasons, on living in harmony with nature. Bala, with his wisdom and kindness, helped us resolve disputes, maintain unity, and remember the true values of our community. Dashola and Lolade were never spoken of again. Their names became a whispered warning, a cautionary tale of greed and betrayal, a reminder of the darkness that lies within us all, and the importance of choosing light over darkness, love over greed, community over self-interest. Ade's name faded from our memories, a dark shadow banished by the light of Yemi's blessing. His treachery served as a reminder of the dangers of seeking to control power, of trying to steal what is freely given, of underestimating the strength of unity and the power of hate. Our village, forever changed by these events, became known throughout the land, not just for its prosperity, but for its wisdom, its resilience, its deep connection to nature, and its unwavering respect for Yemi, the Earth Mother's daughter, the giantess bride, who had brought us both trial and blessing. And me, old wisdom. I live to tell this tale. I pass on the lessons we learned, to remind future generations of the hidden truth behind the whispers, the true meaning of Yemi's sighs, the enduring power of love, and the importance of seeing beyond the appearances, of judging with kindness, and of cherishing the blessings we were given, not with greed, but with gratitude and respect. The unsettling feeling, it never truly returned, replaced by a deep, abiding peace, a sense of knowing that even in the darkest of times, even in the face of fear and greed, love, unity, and faith in the earth's blessings can prevail. Now, children, you have heard the full story of Bala and Yemi. A story of trials and triumphs, of curses and blessings, of hidden truths and timeless lessons. But the story doesn't truly end here. The whispers still echo, the lessons are still relevant, and the world is full of new mysteries and challenges. In part 3, you will see Yemi and Bala's children. Witness the next generation inherit Yemi's unique gifts and face their own destinies, carrying on the legacy of their extraordinary mother. New magical threats arise. Dark forces even more powerful than Adi emerge, drawn to Yemi's lineage and seeking to exploit the Earth Mother's power for their own nefarious purposes. The village faces its greatest test. Our community must once again unite, relying on the wisdom and strength passed down by Yemi and Bala to protect their home. The balance of nature itself, the ultimate fate of Yemi's blessing, discover the long-lasting impacts of Yemi's gift on our world and the timeless lessons it holds for all generations to come. Don't miss part 3, He Married the Giantess, the legacy of the Earth Mother. To witness the epic conclusion of this unforgettable folktale, click right here to continue the saga and delve even deeper into the magical world of Bala and Yemi and the enduring power of their extraordinary love and legacy.